Hi everyone, this is Rainey with My Dream Boat Project, and I just built my own do-it-yourself, okay, so DIY scarfing jig. That's what this is over here. So I'm going to show you how it works. It's all set up to go, and then I'll show you how it was put together, if it works properly. This is my maiden cut, so let's see how she does. And take a look. This is the part that just came off. And look at that beautiful scarf joint it just did. And now I'll go ahead and show you how we built it. Okay, so here's the jig taken down. This is the underside. And to show you the other side of it, this is the side where I had put the saw. The saw guard rested right here on this. In fact, to show you, so the saw rested right here. See how that goes? So when I move it around, okay, so in other words, this here, this is the top. That's where the plywood would go. This is how I had it set on the edge of my table down there. Okay, so I had that set there. I had the plywood on top of it. And then I had a piece of maple, which was right here. I had this on top of the wood, okay, and I had that clamped down. I have maple because it's very strong, and it will hold the plywood down evenly. And I had that just clamped down. So this was truly a do-it-yourself rig. I actually saw one similar to it that I was copying, but it was only one for like 30 inches, and I needed one to do a complete sheet of plywood. I wanted one to do 48 inches, so I had to do a lot of altering. So first of all, it's all made out of 3/4 inch ply. And let me turn it over this way so you can see more the underneath, the underbelly. So both pieces are 5 foot long, okay? So I took I actually got a full sheet of plywood. Matter of fact, the rest of it's underneath the 1/4 inch ply that I just scarfed. So this will scarf a 1/4 inch, may do a 1/2 inch. I haven't tried a 1/2 inch yet. If it does, it's going to go pretty darn close to where I might have to sand it afterwards. But it does a 1/4 inch quite well. What I did off the regular sheet of plywood, I bought a 4x8 sheet, but instead of cutting across, because remember it's only 4 feet wide, I cut it lengthwise, and I cut 5 feet. So I have 2 pieces that were 5 feet, and this bottom piece here is actually 9 inches, so it's 5 foot by 9 inches, and this piece here is 5 foot by 6.5 inches. Now this one here on the other end, I actually cut it at an angle. So this is just flat, this is 45 degree. But down here, I cut it at, so it comes to 7.1 degrees. But anyways, if you could see on the edge, it's got just a slight angle. So that's 7.1. That's the same angle I cut here on these square pieces of wood. Actually, some of them I left square down that end, but over here I did it on both sides. Doesn't really matter. So that's 7.1. So just a very slight, okay? Very slight bit off. This way, if you look at it, it's going to be a little bit sideways, so that way when your blade comes down and overhangs and the plywood is here, it's going to cut the scarf. Of course, the plywood would be sticking like this here, and that's how you're going to get your scarf. That's how you're going to get this scarf like that. That was the plywood. It was hanging right on the edge, right about there, like that. And I was able to cut right through the plywood. Of course, the full piece of plywood was You can see 1/4 inch how much it sticks over. So by the saw being like this, it's going to cut a beautiful scarf like that all the way down, 4 feet long. So getting back to here, those little blocks of wood right here are 4 inches this way and 4.5 inches tall. Now anything close, I just have it like that so it'll keep, it'll go on the edge of the table, okay, and make a good bond with here so it keeps the angle. You want to make it solid. So mine are 4 inches by 4.5 inches long, and on the 4.5 inches long, I got that 7.1 degree angle. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them on there. You don't need that many. I just was on a roll when I started cutting. So that's about it for that. Now, what you would do is, you would glue, what I did was I glued the top part to the bottom part so they were perfectly smooth over here. Okay, want to make that perfectly smooth. Now I glued it with hot glue. I had some of that hot Gorilla Glue, and I glued it that way. It seems to be holding quite well. Now I also glued these things to the back as a brace with the hot glue, which worked quite well. And that way I was able to see how I liked it, and it worked out. Now these here, you see I have it going a little bit longer. Why do I have it this way? Well, if you look, the 4-foot part is the exact same width as plywood. So this way I can put it up here and I can put a clamp on both sides. Actually, when I have, where is my, okay, when I have this here on top of the plywood, I have a clamp going like this on both sides, okay? So, but if I had going all the way out here, I wouldn't be able to clamp to that. So what I did was I cut a little piece here, okay? It's 1 foot from the edge. I cut that there, and since this is 9 inches, I cut 7 inches in. This way, I can still put a clamp on here, okay? And why did I do that? Well, I wanted to have, okay, remember how this worked here with the scarfing, right? I wanted to be able to have the saw sit over here on the end, okay? This way, see, it's sitting on the end before it even touches the plywood. This is right about how I have it. I apologize for moving the camera a lot. I'm doing this by myself. But see, I have it sitting on the edge so I can get it started, turn on the saw, and when I turn on the saw, by the time it reaches the plywood, it's already lined up perfectly. So it's just so I don't start the saw right on the plywood and ruin it. So that's the only reason I have it extending that far, okay? And then I took a 1/4 inch strip of this same wood here. I cut a piece off so it was nice and straight, and I put that all the way along. Now, how did I do that? Well, I put the saw, see I have the blade out, and I put the blade on top. I can take the blade and run it all the way up and down. Now down this end, you can see where the guard is. That guard is touching the piece of wood. Before I put the piece of wood, I slid the saw all the way down like this and drew a line right over there, right where the piece of wood is. I drew a line with the pencil, so pretty much what I had was, as I was taking the saw, I was drawing a line all the way underneath it, and then I glued this piece of wood right there so the saw blade would come perfectly even with the top of this. You can see I had a problem the first time I cut through the wood, had a little accident. Then you're going to glue this piece of wood all the way down. Now I tried hot gluing it, and it was a little off this time, a little off another time. I ended up, after the 4th time, I said heck with it. I put regular wood glue on there, and that way I was able to clamp it, put the saw back on, see if it measured just right, and move it here and there, move it here and there until I got it all measured exactly like I wanted, and I clamped it all on and I glued that way. So that's pretty much how I got it all put together. I hope it makes sense to you. This shows you what it looks like. And what I will do is go on the end there one more time and show you how it's all put together and how it works, okay? Okay, so how it worked. I came and took this piece here. Now the plywood wasn't here initially, so I'm going to get the plywood out of the way. This goes right on here. Okay, and And then I brought the plywood all the way to the end. How I'm going to scarf it so it's right perfect. Now this is before it was cut. I brought it perfectly right on the edge. And then I took this piece here and I clamped that piece on right here and right here. Oh, probably about 4 inches in, excuse me, about 2.5 inches in. Make sure it's far enough that your blade's not going to catch it. And the same thing on that end. Then I brought the saw, put it on the edge, and zipped the saw right across. And there you have it, your scarfing jig. Inexpensive to make. You can put it together. Well, it took me a couple hours because I had to take it apart a few times. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe so you can see new videos when they're coming up. Bye-bye now.